Welcome back, Shalligators. I know, we're in the middle of Evil Week, but why am I wearing pink? Why am I in my usual background? Well, you can thank Zayn Malik for this bullshit. I know, we're gonna pause Evil Week just for today. We're gonna be back tomorrow with Sloth and Envy. We got a good one for Sloth. Evil Week is rolling on. Sloth is gonna be how to turn people against someone you hate. And like keep your reputation intact so it doesn't even look like it came from you. It is going to be amazing. I think you guys are really gonna like it. But for now, we are gonna talk about this absolute tire fire that is Zayn Malik and Gigi Hadid and Yolanda Hadid's complete implosion, like their family implosion. So we're gonna get into this. I'm going to tell you what I know about these three people because I do know a lot, to the point that Zayn's lawyers kind of don't want me talking about it. And more than that, we're gonna talk about what to do when your boyfriend and your parents hate each other, when you're stuck in the middle. How do you resolve this? Is it diplomacy? Do you hear your boyfriend out if he has shit to talk about your mom? Or do you just do the honorable thing and kill him and dissolve his body in a bathtub? I don't know. We're gonna talk it out. But before we do, just want to remind you, you can still get the Ruthless necklace. This is, I don't think it's sold out yet, but it'll probably sell out by the end of the week. We have a new jewelry collection with Vault NYC. We have Ruthless that comes in gold and silver. We also have Alpha that comes in a blinged out silver necklace. Because sometimes you want to show the world that you're alpha, but not necessarily evil. You want to keep that under wraps. Not me. I like people to know. And as always, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can head to my website, shallonlester.com, and click submit a question, and I get back to you. Either in a week or in 24 hours. Depends on what you need. Okay, let's talk about this Gigi. This thing is this thing is developed so fast. Okay, so what happened was, according to Yolanda Hadid, and we're going to break her down too, so this is just the TLDR. Yolanda says Zayn screamed at her, harassed her, which is like a legal term, pushed her into a dresser. Zayn has pled no contest to these charges of harassment, and he adamantly denies that he struck Yolanda in any way. And he had to say, oh, and of course, Zayn and Gigi broke up. And you know what? I say, of course, like, yeah, no shit, someone shoves my mother, he's dead to me. No, that isn't how a lot of couples go, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know. Like, if someone came after my mama, talk about dissolved in a bathtub. Okay, so Zayn said, in an effort to protect that space for my daughter, because Gigi and Zayn have a 13-month-old daughter named Kai, I agreed not to contest claims arising from an argument I had with a family member of my partner's. It's so weird how vague he is. He doesn't say, an argument I had with Yolanda, Gigi's mom, who entered our home while my partner was away several weeks ago. He doesn't say, Yolanda came into my house when Gigi wasn't there and we had an argument. If he had said that, I feel like that's a more, and listen, there's no justification for his actions, but it's like at least you would maybe understand the origin of an argument. My mother and my grandmother would come to like just such a family feud because my grandmother would walk into my mom's house without letting her know she was coming or without knocking. And it would drive my mom crazy. And I was completely stuck in the middle. And I know this isn't a boyfriend-in-law situation, but when you're stuck in the middle between two people you love, it kind of doesn't matter what package it's coming in. It's really, really difficult. It informed a lot of my personality, honestly. Like, I'm like the court jester. I have to make peace all the time, which is why I love Evil Week, because it's when I get to be like, no, I don't want to be nice. I don't need everyone to like me like I did when I was growing up. I actually want to be super evil. But I digress. So I feel like if Zayn had come out and said, like, she's in my house and she walks in and I freaked out. Again, the reaction to that is, hey, could you please leave? Could you please knock? I'm going to need to take your keys. I'm going to take you off the security guest list, right? The consequence is not what Zayn actually did. And this is the funny part. I like this. It's not funny. It's horrible. But Zayn, who is 28, was charged with 4 counts of harassment for allegedly calling Yolanda a Dutch slut. I'm sorry that I think that's so funny, and I don't know why it's so funny. It's like the weird, vengeful specificity of like, you're not just a slut, you're a Dutch slut, which is like kind of hot. I could think of worse things. Okay. So he screamed at Yolanda, calling her a fucking Dutch slut, and this is according to the New York Post, ordered her to stay away from my fucking daughter. He also mentioned the fucking sperm that came out of my fucking cock. I know that's not how he talks, but I believe he has a weird kind of British accent to me. It's a lot, very whatever. Kind of how Adele talks. The documents claim that Zayn grabbed and shoved Yolanda into a dresser, causing mental anguish and physical pain, although he denied making physical contact. I'm reading from the Post. He also allegedly screamed at Gigi, "Strap on some fucking balls and defend your partner against your fucking mother in my house." Zayn then almost got into a fight with the security guard who was also present, shouting at him, "Get the fuck out of my fucking house, copper." Copper. And I was like, copper? He means cop. I did not think British people actually use that word. It's like governor, you know, freshen your drink, governor. I really did not it's such like a late Victorian era Jack the Ripper Penny Dreadful term. Oi, copper, stay away from my footballers. I don't even know. It's just so strange. Yeah, get out of my house, copper. So it was a shit show. And he's been ordered to complete 90 days of probation for each count, total of 360 days, basically probation for a year. Probation is fucking terrible. Have you guys been on probation? I was like reading about it randomly. I am not on probation. Never been caught from crimes. No, I don't commit crimes. I'd actually be a pretty bad criminal because I'm a blabbermouth. I'd tell you, I'd be like, do you know what I did? But if you've been on probation, like, what does it entail? He must also complete an anger management class, I'm sure that's going to help, and a domestic violence supervision program, and cannot have any contact with Yolanda or the security guard. And if he does these things within 6 months, the judge can terminate his probation. All right. This is a mess. So Zayn and Gigi broke up. People reported that. Gigi issued a statement saying, "We're not together right now, co-parenting, privacy, blah, blah, blah," the usual shtick. Now, my experience, and I have direct experience with all three of these people. Would you like to know? Great. First, Gigi. I had interviewed her a few times before she hit like mega fame, when she was kind of in the Cody Simpson era of her fame, when she was kind of getting started. She was lovely, like just sweet. Just, we're both from California, so we like talked a lot about that. She's just a cool, down to earth, like surfer kind of chick. I really liked her. Now, I'm sure that person is still inside, and maybe it's outside. Maybe that's exactly who she still is. But fame can change people. The pressures of the public eye certainly can. And you know what else can change someone? A toxic, drug-addled boyfriend. Who could I be talking about? You know, I don't know. I'm not naming any names. There's no reason to get specific because who knows? Moving on. My interaction with Zayn Malik has been a bit less rosy. His publicist, or lawyer, I'm sorry, sent me a cease and desist in I guess it was 2018, because I said in a video that he was a drug addict. A heroin addict, actually. That's not true. Not true. No. Has nothing to do with why he got fired from One Direction or his eating disorder. That's interesting. Or why he released truly one of the best albums I've ever heard in my life. Mind of Mine is fucking fantastic. It is a great sex album. If you're like having a spontaneous hookup and you're like, shit, I need a soundtrack, put on Mind of Mine. You will not be sorry. It's great from start to finish. But when an artist puts out an album via a record label, which he did, you know what the record label expects? A tour. That is like part of it. You tour, because tours are how you make money. You sell merch. That's actually how artists make the majority of their money, is merch, which is crazy, right? You think they would come up with better merch, like not these beefy tee, Hanes, like high-necked, boxy. Like, can we just have something a little flowy? Can we just try that? I don't know. So no, I'm sure that his incredible health and impugnable sobriety had nothing to do with why he never toured. Not even, nope, not a little. So that's interesting. And oh, that's Cowboy in the background. Are you bored? You know I'm working to buy you that expensive food. Your bag of kibble costs $45 and it doesn't even last a week. Please don't do this. I love you so much. I would die for you. But yeah, you know what drug addicts never do? They never get violent. Never. They're not known for being irrational. And I don't think when you look at jails or prisons, I don't think any of the violent offenders have a drug habit. I don't think so. So none of this applies to Zayn. So we are good on that front. What I do know, though, from doing this job from being a human being on planet Earth and exercising a modicum of common sense, and from doing quite a bit of psychological research into toxic and abusive dynamics between men and women, and again, just literally watching them in real life, I don't know many sober or stable people who long-term date drug addicts or alcoholics. Shit gets old, you know? Now you might say, no, wait a minute, hold on. You have people who are codependent and they're always trying to fix them. Yeah, you do. You do. That can happen. Who knows? Who knows? Except for me, I know. But that's fine. We don't need to talk about the internet except for the fact that I actually do know from quite a few sources. It's fine. So let's talk about Yolanda, the third component in this. Yolanda seems like one of those people who like is both so wonderful to be around and yet so exhausting. Do you know what I mean? It's hard for me to sum her up. Like, she just seems very like comforting. Like, she's so pretty and she looks like she smells really good. Well, she does, actually. I have interviewed her on a red carpet with the rest of the Real Housewives. Truly the nicest housewives are the OC ones. Unbelievable. Just wonderful women. The New York ones are they're just such bitches. They're such entitled, deranged, shrill bitches. They were awful. This was not the current cast. This was the OG cast. Unbearable. But Yolanda was great. She was great. Gigi was great. And so I was like, oh, I understand why Gigi turned out so sweet and down to earth and respectful. And Yolanda seems all of those things. Just lovely. But there's like another side to her. This Lyme disease thing. I've talked about this before. My old boss when I was at Star, like not my recent one, a few years ago, he and I were talking one day about, and it was when Yolanda was in her heyday and all she was talking about was Lyme disease. And she was like getting her fillings changed and her breast implants out. And breast implant illness, I do believe, is a very real thing. Cowboy. Can you hear this animal grunting? I love you. It was when it was like this heyday of her Lyme disease and blah, blah, blah. And my boss and I went down this rabbit hole because I'm like, I grew up in Southern California. I was like, I don't know anyone who got Lyme disease. And Yolanda was also claiming that I believe Bella and Anwar, her son, also had it. And Gigi has Hashimoto's disease. All four people in one house have autoimmune diseases? From healthy, well-nourished, like healthy people. And we were just like, what is happening in that house? So we went down a CDC rabbit hole and we looked at the amount of Lyme disease cases for that year in California. I forget what year it was. I want to say it was 2014, maybe 32. 32 is also how many millions of people live in California. By contrast, the amount of cases in Connecticut, which is like this big, California is this big, like they're not the same size at all. Connecticut had 1,400 cases, and there were 32 in California, and 3 of those cases were in the exact same house? Were you passing the tick around? Come on, dude. Now, so I've said this before, and some of you guys were like, well, maybe they didn't get it there. Maybe they got it out in the countryside and they were traveling. Maybe they did. But still, from a statistical point of view, 4 people in one house with an autoimmune disease. And notice, do I believe Yolanda is lying? No, I don't. I believe this was a terrible argument. I believe he probably, I don't know, he says he didn't shove her. So let's talk about this. What do you do when you're miserable and caught in the middle? Now, we've done videos before on what to do if your family hates your boyfriend, if your friends hate your boyfriend. So here's the little recap of that. Let's talk about it from a parent standpoint. Some of you guys, I will say up front, you have incredibly toxic parents, and I'm so sorry. Like, when you guys message me, I'm going to get teared up talking about this. Like, I get so inflamed with this issue because I see what it does to you when your parents are just shitbirds, when they're narcissists, when they withhold affection, when they gaslight you, when they say that you're not living up to expectations because you don't marry a Jew or you don't go to law school, whatever it might be. I know. My mom told me when she was here taking care of me after I got out of the hospital That she didn't really think it was a good idea that I use Tide Pods? I should just use the liquid? Do you think I've had a good night's sleep since? I haven't. Every time I open my laundry room, I'm like, cowboy, you stop that. Don't you do that. He chews on the windowsill. No. Anyway. So the burden, the emotional weight of having a parent who doesn't approve of something you're doing, I mean, it doesn't really get easier. You learn to manage it, because we have to, because our life has to be lived for us and not for anyone else. But then you have to temper that with, is there some truth to what they're saying? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. You know that saying? Even a toxic parent might not be wrong about your toxic partner. I mean, sometimes it takes one to know one. And just because they're wrong about your religion and who you date, just because they're wrong about how you wear your hair and what you do for a living, doesn't mean they're wrong about absolutely everything. And extrapolating what's right versus what's toxicity in their own issues is a Herculean task. I completely get that. So if you're in a state where, okay, your parents hate your partner, go to a friend who isn't toxic. Go to a coworker, go to someone and be like, hey, what do you think about Zayn? What do you think? You're neutral. You love me. Ostensibly, you only have my best interest at heart. Do you think he's a dangerous, toxic, violent, potentially about whatever person? Like, is he just kind of a bag of shit? Do you think he's cheating on me? Do you think he's really not ever going to become a professional gamer? Like, what's your stance? And then you can kind of start to get that Venn diagram, right? Okay, my parents say this, but they're kind of full of shit. But my friends say this, and okay, sometimes they can be full of shit because we're all working through our own filter. And I know Kristen doesn't really want me to have a boyfriend. But like, what overlaps? What do you keep hearing? Get curious, not furious. It's very easy to be defensive when people question our partners and who we date, of course, because it goes to the heart of who we are. And like, the worst thing ever is to feel like a fool. I defended my ex-boyfriends vociferously and aggressively for a long time, not because I just believe so strongly in them, is because I believe so strongly in myself. I believe so strongly in my own ego that I couldn't handle the concept that my picker was broken, that I've let a lunatic into my life, because then it's like, how do I govern my life at all? No wonder I picked Tide Pods instead of the liquid. I'm an idiot. Look who I date. Right? It's just this slippery slope into, I'm just a failure to thrive all the way around. I'm not going to get that promotion. I'm never going to run that 5K. Look at me. I'm an idiot. You got to clip that. You got to clip that right there. Wrong in one category, and it's not even wrong. It's data. It's learning. Oh, I thought that this behavior was okay. It's actually a red flag. That's not because I'm so stupid. No, it's because I don't know that yet. And maybe the reason I don't know that, or I didn't see that, is because there's something coming from inside me where I think I can't let go of this guy. I'm nothing without a boyfriend. I'm nothing without this. Get curious and not furious. The fury might come later. Not only what other people think, but what you're saying to yourself to promote this dynamic. Because what we permit, we do promote. So why can't you break up with someone who everyone thinks is cheating on you? Why aren't you calling out a guy who is clearly spending all your money and running up his credit cards? What are you saying to yourself to justify this? And what you're saying to yourself is pure fear. It's pure fucking fear-based, right? So dismantle that. Well, you can't call him out because then he's going to leave and you're going to be alone. You're going to die alone. You're going to be eaten by wolves. It's going to be 15 days before anyone even knows you're gone. Is that really true? You're like, yeah, it might be. Okay, go back to these people you trust, who you asked about this in the first place. You're like, so do you think that if I break up with him, I'm going to die alone and be eaten by wolves? What do you ask them? I mean, I have had friends who, they certainly weren't dating anyone toxic or abusive, but they were just kind of dating like whatevers. And if they had come to me and been like, should I break up with him? I might have been like, you know what? Honestly, no. I wouldn't say, I don't think you can do better because you're not great at this yourself. You're kind of a toxic person and he's maybe the best you're going to do. So you never know what you're going to hear. But get that data. But what if your parents aren't toxic? Do you want to come up here? Do you want to come up here? Well, come on up. Come on. Come on. Yes. Okay. Come on. Yes, both. Yes, 2 more paws to go. Who do we have? Who's this snouteth? Oh. Come here. Oh, that's my angel. This is my Fanny. Oh, I call him Fanny. I don't know why. What names do you have for your dogs that make no sense? This is my favorite game. Okay. So we're going to keep talking. I know. Who's that? Is that Mr. Snoutus? Is that my snouts? You looking at your beautiful self? I know. It's not a dog that you see out the window. It's just a human. Don't do this. Okay. We're going to keep talking. Okay. So what if your parents aren't toxic? I'm sorry, this is so weird. This is such a heavy subject, and I'm like, here's a 50-pound hound dog on my lap. But can you blame me? Look at him. I just wish you weren't my exact same height so that I could maybe take center stage. Okay, he's laying down. I love you. Hot tummy on my legs, yeah. What if your parents aren't toxic? You know, and you love your mom and you love your boyfriend. Again, go through this process of hearing her out. Remember that parents are hardwired to keep you safe. Now, safety means different things to different parents. For some, it's marrying a Jewish guy because for them, that's safe. Maybe from like a higher, afterlife standpoint. Maybe it's simply like he's going to understand you. He's going to understand the culture. Jewish guys don't get divorced, blah, blah, blah. However they define it. But ask them, Mom, I know you really want me to marry a Jewish guy. What does that mean to you? Keeping the family line alive, tradition, making up for the Jews lost in the Holocaust. I mean, these are real things. So get down to that, because until you understand it, if you don't understand it, it's going to be too easy for you to be like, just blindly dismiss it or blindly accept it. And if you can understand the nuance, you can tell yourself like, okay, like I get why that's important to her, but also there's other ways for me to preserve my Jewish culture that don't involve me marrying this kid down the street who I am not into. Or, okay, I get why it's important to marry a Jewish guy. I'm going to try to focus on that, but in my way and how I choose to do it on my timeline. Humans want to be heard, right? Especially parents, like it's so frustrating to be like, please just listen to what I'm telling you. Your life is going to be so much easier. We know this with friends, dealing with friends who are like that. It's like, if you just listen to me and pluck your eyebrows, please. So when you can acknowledge where they're coming from, you're going to have a higher chance of a reasonable, balanced discourse, and therefore, they're probably going to be more likely to listen to you. So this is the script. Mom, I understand you are concerned about my safety, and that is like 360 holistic, from what I eat to what kind of car I drive to saving my money, and of course to who I date. And I know you think me dating Zayn is problematic for X, Y, and Z, but you do need that data. What is X, Y, and Z? Hear her out. But I can tell you, I do feel safe because of A, B, C. He loves me. He pays all the bills. He takes care of me. He listens to me. He supports me. Have something to say back. And if you don't, that's a data point. That's data for you. If she's like, he isolates you from your friends. Your world has become very small. If you said to him, hey, I need to go to a hotel for 3 days just to like breathe and watch my shows and I just need some space. And he loses his mind over that. And if you don't have a response other than like, you don't understand, baby girl, maybe it's you who doesn't understand. You're driving me insane right now. So go to your partner and convey these things. Do the exact same thing you did with your mom. Tell me what issues you have with my mom. Tell me what it is. He's like, she walks in our house when we're not here. We have no privacy. It doesn't mean we have a meth lab in the back. It's just, this is our home. And we as adults have the right to have our privacy. That's reasonable, Hear him out. Let everyone feel heard. And then you have to decide where your boundaries are, where your lines in the sand are. And the unfortunate truth is that the definition of compromise is no one really gets what they want. I mean, when you think about it, it's not like Zayn, she can come in this house whenever she wants. She can drive your car. She can spend her money. She can do anything she wants. It's, Mom, you have to call before you come over, and you have to get explicit approval from us before you walk in. You can't have a set of keys anymore. That's Yolanda not getting what she wants, and also kind of Zayn not getting what she wants. Like, hey, she's still welcome here, but she's going to have to go through a process. Ugh. Beware of who isn't okay with any sort of compromise. Because what do we say about boundaries? The people, don't eat that. The people who hate your boundaries benefit from you having none at all. Right? So if you have one partner who's like, I said your mom has got to get out of our life. I don't want you hanging out with your sister and blah, 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 blah. If you have a mom who's like, I can't believe you would tell me, your mother, we shared a body for 9 months, that I have to call you before I come over? Wow. Ask yourself how they benefited from you not having this boundary. And then come up with the consequences. Ugh. Oh. Boundaries and consequences are horrific. They just make my skin crawl, right? Especially against people you love. I mean, you know, the parking attendant at Cheesecake Factory, fuck, I got a shit ton of boundaries. Don't take the spare change in my car, right? People you love, it's like, ugh. And toxic, not even toxic, but manipulative people are going to make you feel like you don't love them if you put up boundaries. I encountered this in business. Ooh, wow. I thought we were friends. I thought we had something going. You just want to like get paid. Wow. That's all you care about. That's wow. It's business. Yes. And just overall, yes, that is all I care about actually. Like, do you understand the assignment? Don't take that bait. Try to be dispassionate as hard as that is, or recruit an advocate, recruit a neutral person. I do this all the time. Like, I tell my friends almost everything because I need a temperature check, because I get in my head, and we all do. We just get so emotional about things that we care about, and it's hard to know which end is up. And it's hard to know who's right, who's wrong, who do I trust? Am I being reasonable? Are they? Have someone, not like you need more people in your business, and not like this other person is now going to make all your decisions. You don't want to offload that, but you do need to get a sense of like, who do you think's being reasonable here? It's something, you know, they call the wisdom of the crowd. And it really is true. Like, most people have pretty good judgment. Like, we have a pretty good bead on situations that don't directly involve us. We have good instincts. You know, when we don't have any skin in the game, it's like, I think she's got a point. The way she's expressing it isn't okay. He also has a point. The way he's expressing it is wildly not okay, and that in and of itself is a data point that he cannot communicate constructively, and that when he feels like he's not getting what he wants, he becomes violent. So even no matter how right he is, he renders himself wrong by this reaction. You know, look at it like that. But at the end of the day, it might just be these two people never exactly fall in love with one another. You know, boyfriend and mom aren't just it's not all one big happy family, and it is tough, man. It's tough. But we talk about this. There's a freedom in the hate, right? We're going to talk about this more. I think we talked about it in Wrath. No, we're going to talk about it in the last Evil Week video, what to do if you've been canceled. We've talked about it before on this channel. There's freedom in hate. If you can accept, in fact, not just accept, lead with the concept, as radical as it sounds, these two they're just never going to be besties. And there's always going to be a differential in terms of personality. Then maybe your goalposts move. It's like, okay, if I'm thinking we're going to have this big, wonderful Thanksgiving every year, that's simply off the table. It's simply off the table if I want both these people in my life. And I do. I am not willing to give up either one. So, okay, compromises are going to have to be made. So instead of thinking, I'm failing because I'm not hitting this big, beautiful Norman Rockwell family dinner, if you set the bar a little lower, honestly, you might feel more satisfied with the outcomes because it's closer to where you were sort of aiming for. Hey, we're not going to do Thanksgiving. Once a month, we have just an easy family dinner. We go out to Applebee's. It's chill. Hey, they're never going to see eye to eye on politics. But you know what? We've made the mutual rule that everyone's respecting that we don't even bring it up. Okay. Or we can have 15 minutes of intense political discussion and then we both commit, we're letting it go, we're ordering the jalapeno poppers and getting on with our lives, right? All right. So maybe you can find that freedom within the hate. Is it perfect? No. Is it painful? Yeah, girl. But this is life. This is the blending of humans and relationships. And it is tough. In-laws are one of the most stressful things about partnership. I certainly didn't dislike my in-laws at all, but we just all didn't like mesh. Like we just weren't like besties. Maybe it's because I was new to the family and, my marriage did not last that long. And so I didn't really have time to develop those connections and maybe they would have changed. But it was hard for me because my husband was very enmeshed in my family. He loved my mom. She loved him. And so it was like, well, why can't this happen? Why isn't this a big old two-way street kind of? And again, like maybe it would have become that, but that's just not how it played out. And so that was a stressor for me because it is true. You partner with someone, you kind of partner with their family, you partner with their friends, you partner with their dog, you partner with their sheet set. Why do guys always have blue sheets? And the flattest pillows in the world. Where do they get them? I don't know. But this is partnership and the enmeshment, and it's tough. So give yourself grace that it's tough. Be okay with it being a little bit tough, but also pay attention to who is making it tougher with their unwillingness. Pay attention to how people are defining safety, happiness, success. Look at who's after peace. Look at who might be after victory. Because as we know, the road to peace is usually actually pretty easy. If everyone involved is committed to peace, resolutions can be found. If there's one person who wants victory, want to win, as they define it, and find out how they define it. What's your ideal outcome to this situation, Zayn? Mom, what's your ideal outcome to this situation? And look at their answers and see if they're reasonable. Not just what they're saying is an answer, but their behaviors, what's demonstrated. It's unfair that you have to play peacemaker like this. And you might get to the point you're like, this just isn't worth it. Maybe it's time for me to kind of branch away from my family. I don't know. Again, I had a family that I'm very close with. I still am. So for me, the concept of moving away from my family is like, it's a non-starter. It's not happening. But maybe your family is a little toxic and maybe this is a good thing that you've met someone who's like, hey, it's kind of time to put up some boundaries. I know you don't want to cut your sister off, but she's eroding you, our relationship, the dynamic with our daughter, whatever it might be. But only you can know that. And that's what's tough, is there isn't one size fits all advice for these situations because they are so nuanced. But I know that you're smart enough to look at data with curiosity, not furiosity. I know that you're smart enough to look at boundaries and see who's pushing and who's being reasonable. And most importantly, I know that you are smart enough to be brave and look at your needs. Do that gut check. Do I feel profoundly anxious with this man? I can't tell him I need a night away at a hotel. I can't go to book club anymore. I can't have my mom come over. How has your life changed since meeting this person? Is it really for the better? Or is it for the fear? Are you chasing the fear? What is controlling you? If you can answer these questions, you're going to get so much farther into solving this dynamic and this dilemma than if you don't. But it really does start here, and that sucks. It doesn't unfortunately start at Applebee's. A lot of unplanned pregnancies do, though. Interesting. I want to know your take on this, and I want to know if you guys are going to be joining me tomorrow for the conclusions of Evil Week, Sloth and Envy. The greatest of the year. Like I said, go to my website, Shallon Lester. If you need a little bit more one-on-one help, because like I said, there aren't one-size-all-fits answers for this, so I can help you, your individual situation, head on over there and pick up my Ruthless necklace. I'll see you later, Shalligators.